more favorable for tornadoes as we head throughout the afternoon and evening. And so let's give you the wide view on this. This is in our extreme eastern weather coverage area. Northwest Arkansas currently has some storms. We'll zoom out just a little bit. This is all general thunderstorm activity, but this is that supercell that's beginning to ramp up. And if we go up into Northwest Arkansas, you're going to notice that we have this storm system that's developing for Washington County as well as Benton County. But this is just thunderstorm activity. This is not tornado potential as of now. Now, later on in the afternoon, depending on how much rain and how much cloud cover we see, that's going to determine our severe weather threat later on this afternoon into the evening. So let's give you a real wide view here, and we'll check out the storm potential. There you see it developing all across eastern Oklahoma, but one storm in particular prompted this severe weather coverage. It's a tornado warning now for Logan County. So let's zoom in back onto that storm, and we'll get the very latest information. And it does appear that the rotation has definitely kind of weakened just a little bit. We're going to set that storm motion from the warning. Let's go ahead and take the lightning off of there too. We know that lightning is definitely a concern, but there is that area of circulation now passing to the north of Paris. And this is a radar indicated tornado, meaning enough rotation within the storm that's prompting that tornado warning. But this is radar indicated. And at the moment, it's going to be moving northeast towards I-40. So anyone that's on I-40 in between Coal Hill, Clarksville, this is kind of close to the Atkins area, not quite there, but we'll zoom in here just a little bit more and give you an idea of this area of circulation. So this is what we've been watching. Josh, these storms really ramped up quick. If we go back a few frames, you can see what prompted this tornado warning potential, and there it is.
Yeah.
There's the circulation showing up just to the northwest of Driggs. What we're looking at here is the radar from Fort Smith. Red colors indicate rain that's moving away from the radar. Green colors, the precipitation or the what we call hydrometeors are moving towards the radar. There's your circulation. That's what prompted the tornado warning. And if we move along in time and we get past Paris, you can kind of see how it starts to fall apart and weaken. So maybe there's a chance that this warning will expire before the actual time of the warning is allowed. Now, Josh, I don't know if you've got a track on Weather One by any chance for this. Yep. Let's go ahead and we'll do a storm track on this.
Getting that set up right now.
Right.
But I'll say this too about this severe thunderstorms. The good news is that this is not the most favorable time for severe weather yet here in Northwest Arkansas and the River Valley. Now, we do have that tornado warning that we've got right now. However, the shear has not really been in place yet. We were looking at those photographs beforehand, before we came on, and the environment's not juiced up really yet here in Northwest Arkansas and the River Valley. But it will as we move throughout the late afternoon, early evening.
Now, another thing, too, is we were warmer than what the models expected.
Yes.
We had record highs. We talked about those record highs. There's that tornado warning that goes until 3 o'clock. If we put a track on this to the northeast, here's the areas and the communities that are going to be impacted. But that sunshine on a severe weather day is something you don't want to see. What that does is that amps up the environment. That allows the fuel, if you will, for these thunderstorms to be greater. But as that tracks to the northeast, it's going to be moving towards Ozone, Clarksville, right along I-40. So we're going to be watching this closely. In fact, the actual warning will have the information on the mile markers on the interstate on I-40 where you could be expecting this. And, there might be a lot of people traveling at this point coming back for New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, and then maybe celebrating, New Year's into this January 2nd, 2023, as a lot of people observe the New Year's holiday on this day, on Monday. So just be aware that there could be some people traveling. Also, quarter-size hail will be possible. The biggest key, though, is this is radar indicated, and the rotation is weakening somewhat. So maybe, hopefully, the storm will try to realize that tornado potential, but fall apart pretty quickly just because all these ingredients aren't in place yet. So there's that track right there. So, Josh, any information from National Weather Service out of Little Rock with this storm?
Yes, so radar indicated rotation. That continues to be what we're seeing with the storm right now. Storm's moving northeast at 45 miles per hour. If we take a look at some of the places that are in the path here, obviously you saw on that storm track there, Coal Hill at about 2:42 p.m. So within the next 10 minutes or so, you'll be impacted by the storm. The warning also mentions Clarksville, which is right on the edge of our weather coverage area at 2:52 p.m., 3:04 p.m. Ozone. This storm will impact you. And then at 3:16, Fort Douglas, you're on the very edge of the storm. Now, On Megadoppler right now, Dan, I'm keeping an eye on this storm. It is really weakened considerably.
I think
right
so.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's really falling apart very quickly.
But here's the thing, though. Even though the ingredients aren't there, that shows you the type
Yeah.
of environment that we have in place. This is going to be one of those storms that can really crank up quickly, just like what we saw today with this tornado-warned storm. And as the additional storms come in this afternoon, evening, which, by the way, we did a Facebook Live. We were covering that. We were watching these storms as they were evolving. And we're not done by any means, because if we go back to our weather graphics on Weather 2, you're going to see from Mount Magazine completely shrouded in clouds. What does this mean? This is fuel that's available for these thunderstorms. It's moisture. It's instability. In fact, you can see it even, it's so humid that there's condensation on the camera lens. And that's actually not rain. If we go back to the radar here, you'll notice that Mount Magazine isn't getting rained on, maybe just a little bit from the southern tip of this cell. But the really, really heavy rain is just to the northwest of that. But there is that tornado warning that's issued till 3 o'clock. If it doesn't expire sooner, looking at the latest data, wouldn't doubt if it does expire sooner. The radar indicated storm that has the rotation, but that rotation has definitely weakened somewhat. Now, I do want to give just a real quick wider view if we go to Weather 2, and we'll bring this back up. So first of all, there's no storms currently impacted in northwest Arkansas and Benton and Washington County. We do have southern Washington County that's seeing some storm activity. We did talk about this on Facebook Live, and I want to bring this up right now because I think it's definitely noted that the severe weather risk has increased even more at 2 o'clock. They updated this. Josh, Zach, and I were all watching this. There's the enhanced risk now making it all the way into central Benton County, almost all of Carroll County, including Eureka Springs. You also have Boone and Newton County that are included in that. If we look at the tornado threat, and remember, this is for later on this afternoon into the evening, you can see that that is a pretty substantial tornado threat over a good portion of our area. And also, too, this black lines, these through the yellow shaded area, that's the potential for significant tornadoes. That's EF2 to EF5 potential. And there's more of a chance, more of a probability if you live in that area that you could see a stronger tornado. But even though northwest Arkansas and parts of it is in that brown area, that still has that tornado potential. And with that being said, let's see if they've issued a new tornado watch, and they haven't. So there's the tornado watch that does include the part of the tornado warning that goes until 9 o'clock. And we want to zip back in on that storm and take a look at the very latest on Megadoppler with that cell. But the tornado watch goes until 9 o'clock. At the moment, it's only these 4 counties. That's because an additional watch is going to come out. It's likely going to come out for areas of northwest Arkansas. That's going to be later on this afternoon. That'll probably go until about 10 o'clock, we're expecting. So real quick, just to check out Megadoppler again, let's look at that area of rotation. Definitely an intense storm. And you can see some areas of circulation that are showing up. And I think the Weather Service, just out of caution, even though the storm maybe has weakened its rotation with this type of environment, they may continue to keep this in effect all the way through 3 o'clock. So still a little bit of a broad rotation, though, just to the south of Coal Hill that we'll be watching closely. Let's do another track on this, Josh.
Yes, absolutely. Just made a new track on it to adjust for the speed of the storm because it's moving to the northeast at 45 miles per hour. So they're moving pretty quick. So as we move throughout the late afternoon, early evening hours, it's important that if you're in these tornado warnings, you take shelter immediately because these storms are going to be on top of you really, really quickly. 2:44 p.m., Hartman, you're under the gun in about 8 to 10 minutes with this thunderstorm. 2:54 p.m., we just mentioned Clarksville. You need to be taking your tornado precautions as well, just in case the storm continues to ramp up. 3:07 p.m., Ozone, 3:20 p.m., Fort Douglas, and 3:25 p.m., Limestone. And again, this is a highly volatile environment, so a lot of these things can ramp up out of nowhere and get going pretty quickly. So we're going to continue to watch this storm right now, but it does appear it's on the weakening trend. But that tornado warning does expire at 3 o'clock p.m. And you can see on your screen there as well where that polygon is. If you're within that polygon, you need to be taking your tornado precautions until they either expire the warning or cancel it because it falls below severe limits. So that's what we're watching right now with these storms. But as you said, Dan, I mean, this storm ramped up really quickly in an environment that's not favorable really yet for tornadoes.
Yeah. And what we mean by favorable is, we look at all the ingredients in terms of the wind shear, which way the wind is blowing, not only at the surface, but as you go up higher up above the atmosphere, that lines up with the storm motion. There's a lot of research, there's a lot of science that goes behind this. However, there still is that potential for this to increase as the storms are ongoing, which is the type of environment that we're going to see, that things become really favorable really fast over the area. And that's going to be later on this evening. So there is that tornado warning. Josh just did a storm track on that. Let's go to weather 2, give you a wider view, because we want to show you that additional storms are likely going to develop. So on weather 2, on the satellite and radar loop, you're going to see, first of all, this is the early afternoon convection, the early afternoon thunderstorm development that we were expecting. But this is expected also to clear out. And if we see some sunshine behind that, which is definitely a possibility as the next wave of energy moves in, that's going to really crank up these afternoon and evening storms. So this could be a very long afternoon, evening, into the late evening and overnight hours. And that could continue all the way until about 10, 11 o'clock tonight. So just be ready. Hunker down. We're going to get you through this storm system, and we'll be tracking each and every one of these storms. So that tornado warning does go until 3 o'clock. That's the storm that's in areas of eastern sections of our weather coverage area. And that's the only storm of concern right now, but we had to jump on Facebook Live, on social media, streaming, and of course on television for those that don't have the streaming capability. But still, quite a bit of energy looking off to the west. Here comes the system that's moving in. You can see those clouds moving in, and these storms are increasing in intensity. So, Josh, why don't we look at, and you can bring this up, future radar. Even though it's not perfect, it'll give people an idea of how much storm activity will develop this afternoon and how much we could see. And in the meantime, I'm going to go right back to Mega Doppler here and bring this up on this system here and take a look at that. So there's that tornado warning that goes until 3 o'clock. Additional storms developing, just rain and thunderstorm activity. A little bit of what we call potentially a hook, but I just don't see any strong circulation with that right now. So definitely a weakening in the rotation. However, with that being said, it could crank up real quickly. You got to look at that future track.
Yes, sir, I do right now. Yeah, let's go ahead and pull that up right now on weather 1. And you can see it right there behind you. Yeah. So doing a good job right now with the storms that are going on here in the River Valley. And you'll notice as we go throughout the late afternoon hours, we're still watching those thunderstorms, Dan, that could move through northwest Arkansas. And these could actually help us because they could maybe limit the amount of instability that we're working with in the late afternoon, early evening, when these thunderstorms are really expected to get going as those more favorable parameters move into our area. But you notice right after 4 o'clock into the 5 o'clock, right around dinner time frame, that's when these thunderstorms really begin to get nasty. And that's when the greatest tornado risk will exist across our entire area. Notice those temperatures, at least according to this model, are in the low to mid 60s. So a little bit cooler than maybe what we thought previously. But again, that remains to be seen if that actually happens. But you can see all these little kidney bean shaped looks to some of these thunderstorms on this computer model. And that's what we're watching for the potential for some rotating thunderstorms. You notice right around 10 o'clock that a system begins to eject to the eastern portions of the coverage area, especially around Scott County, Logan County, Johnson County. You really need to be weather aware today because this could be multiple rounds of very strong thunderstorms as we move throughout the evening hours. I think about the 5 to 10 o'clock time frame, that's when we're really going to be under the gun.
There's been a sign, too, that there will be some of those tornadic supercells that track across that area. We already saw how favorable the environment is, even though it's not quite enough to produce tornado potential. It's already starting to rotate those storms, prompting warnings. So I really think, as Josh just mentioned, Scott County, Logan County, Southern Sebastian County, LaFleur County, those areas really going to be impacted. Johnson County. Now, northwest Arkansas still has that potential for storms as well. You can't discount the potential for severe weather, but definitely something that we'll continue to watch. And I really think on Heil Heating Cooling Mega Doppler, I think this storm is done. I think it started to weaken. We go back to our Mega Doppler on weather 2, and you're going to see here, there's the area of rotation, which is really weakened quite a bit. Now, there is quite a bit of inflow. There's definitely something
Strong
what we
winds.
call an inflow notch with this cell. And also it's, encountering a little bit of rough and rugged terrain. It just went over the north side of Mount Magazine. Let's go ahead and we'll see if we can get our WeatherBug Network camera. Boy, we had such a view of that as we were doing that Facebook Live with that very low lowering. Now the clouds have totally shrouded that in, so you can't see anything anymore. But one thing you could see is how fast those low-level winds are, which is something that's going to prompt that tornado potential later on this afternoon.
Yeah, we just got another radar scan too on that cell, and again, just kind of petering out a little bit.
Yeah,
seems like
it definitely is starting to weaken quite a bit. So we'll zoom out here just a little bit, and I know there's a tornado warning on there. The type of environment, we're going to stay on this until this warning expires. This won't be the last warning that we likely cover, but it's going to be these isolated cells that we really have to watch for. But boy, there sure is a lot of rain and storm activity that's just kind of cooling the environment. That's kind of dropping those temperatures in the river valley, but that doesn't look to stick around all day.
No.
That's going to be clearing out here pretty quick. And then that's going to set the stage for the next round of storms. So,
yeah, we haven't seen a lot of activity at all in Northwest Arkansas as well, which is really why I think they expanded the significant tornado risk to most of the area.
Yeah.
And so, sometimes these systems throw curveballs. And, we had all that sunshine today, record high temperatures, as you mentioned earlier. And that's a curveball because the models weren't showing temperatures as warm as what we got earlier today.
Yeah, and that's what that does is that increases the fuel, that increases the instability, increases the basically the amount of moisture that's available for the storm. So let's go ahead and if we can, we want to go back to our Mega Doppler source. There's a look at that storm. The tornado warning goes until 3 o'clock this evening. That storm is definitely starting to crank down, starting to weaken just a little bit. I want to do another storm track on this. Even though it is weakening, people probably want to know where it's raining, where it's storming. And I bet you iDrive Arkansas along I-49 will be showing that heavy rain that's coming down. So that's also a threat too. As you're driving, heavy rain could cause hydroplaning, and you could be encountering that, especially just west of Clarksville on I-49 with that tornado warned storm. But there's a look. Let me know when you got that track up, Josh.
Yes.
And we can bring that up. So there we go. There's the latest tracking just to the west of Clarksville, I think, prompting this tornado warning until 3 o'clock. Strawberry 304, Ozone 307. So that's moving into Johnson County. We're still barely including Logan County. Logan County is going to be clipped from the warning here real soon as they update the next update as that risk starts to lift northeastward. After that, remember the tornado watch still goes until 9 o'clock, even for Newton County. So the storm will continue moving northeast, and throughout the time, that environment will be getting increasingly more favorable. So we'll be watching that closely.
Yeah, and it does look like, I'm looking to the south right now, Dan, and our friends in central Arkansas, there's a tornado warning in effect there. So this system is really starting to push into Arkansas right now. There's a very large enhanced risk for severe weather that covers pretty much the entire state. So it's going to be a long day here for everybody in Arkansas, not just us here in Northwest Arkansas and the River Valley. But it does look like, thankfully, that this storm that we're watching right now is beginning to weaken. Did want to give you an update, too. The National Weather Service did give an update on the storm. They said that they're going to continue the tornado warning until 3 o'clock for those areas in Logan and Johnson County. Again, this is radar indicated rotation. Quarter-sized tail, also a threat with some of these thunderstorms. These storms are what we call discrete, so they're a little bit more isolated right now. They've got their own piece of energy. And so the hail threat still exists with this thunderstorm that's moving through. Gusty winds as well. That wasn't mentioned in the warning, but I wouldn't be surprised if we're seeing some very gusty winds as this storm kind of gusts out a little bit, Dan. You can kind of see it on the velocity image at times. But again, the tornado warning does remain in effect until 3 o'clock, and that was just updated from the National Weather Service in Little Rock.
You talked about the heavy rain. Check out the iDrive Arkansas camera. This is at exit 47. So this is looking off to the west. That's some really heavy rain. And in fact, iDrive Arkansas on the traffic, it's starting to slow down. So you're definitely seeing that heavy rain as an impact. And this is on the eastern edge of this tornado warned cell. So looking off to the west-southwest, you can really see the darkening sky, and that's the cloud cover that's rolling in from that storm, as we'll show you on Mega Doppler coming back in there. So that's the iDrive Arkansas camera And so there's that storm. So that camera was located right about in this region, just to the west of Clarksville, mile marker 47. Latest track now, taking it out of Logan County. We still have that area of circulation, but I really think that rotation has weakened substantially. It's pretty much non-existent at this point. But the Weather Service just holding on to the warning until 3 o'clock. As soon as that hits and this warning gets dropped, or even just a little bit before, we'll break off of our severe weather coverage. Of course, we'll have the latest information on our newscast tonight, and we'll continue to keep the stream up just in case this storm prompts another tornado warning. But I don't think that's going to happen until later on this afternoon. So we got a little bit of a lull in the activity, which is expected, and that's going to happen. But later on this evening, the storms are going to be a little more intense as the wind shear increases, as the dew points continue to climb, as the low-level wind shear becomes more favorable, and all these ingredients will come together, unfortunately, right at the wrong time at the right place. So we're going to be watching that closely. The right place at the wrong time, I guess you could say that. But there's a look at Fort Douglas 315, Deer 325 on that latest track, Waiting at 329. We don't want these ingredients to come together, but unfortunately it does look like that's coming to fruition later on this afternoon. So we're at 2:48 now in the afternoon on January 2nd. It's January 2nd, right? If I'm not mistaken.
That is correct.
Yeah, January
Yes.
2nd. Now, I said the 3rd, and I guess the 3rd is tomorrow, but January 2nd, 2023, starting the new year with quite a bang here.
With a big bang. That is for sure. I'll tell you what, it is really crazy. A couple weeks ago, we were sitting well below zero in a lot of these same spots, and now we're talking about severe weather. It's just it tends to happen though in these types of patterns, Dan. We've seen it in climatology and everything, that the ups and downs.
Yeah.
And anytime we get those big rises after those big drops, severe weather tends to follow. And sure enough, it looks like that's coming to fruition today.
It is, absolutely. And we can go back to just to show you some of the ingredients that are starting to increase. Let's go to weather 2. Look at the size of this tornado watch.
Wow. New
New one coming out soon. We got tornado warnings that are in western Louisiana, eastern Texas. There's the tornado warning for our friends in Garland, Perry, and Saline County in central Arkansas. We've got the tornado warning coverage for our area, for Logan and Johnson County, soon to be just Johnson County. No watch that's currently impacted for eastern sections of Oklahoma, but that's going to be changing very, very shortly because of what we call the Storm Prediction Center issuing what's called the mesoscale discussion. And when we look at this here, you're going to see, once that pops up, you'll be able to see it immediately. And it's probably coming out here real soon, I think. But what I was going to show you is the latest severe weather risk, just to show you it's a very large area. I mean, typically these enhanced risks are fairly small in coverage, and it's the greatest area of concentration for severe weather potential. This is nearly the entire state of Arkansas, except for extreme southeast Arkansas and extreme northwest Arkansas. So the reason we're staying on television is because we still have that tornado warning, even though the storm has weakened somewhat. This can increase rather quickly, but I really think this warning will expire here very shortly.
Yeah, and by the way, Dan, you were talking about how quickly these storms can develop. I'm reading NWS chat right now, and they're talking about how quickly these storms began to rotate, even in a not so favorable environment right now.
Yeah.
And that environment's going to become favorable within the next few hours or so. And when that happens, if we're already seeing tornado warnings right now and enough rotation to prompt these warnings, well, that you do the math.
This could be a really busy afternoon, evening, but we're geared up for it. We're ready for it, and we'll keep you updated for sure.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. So I think this tornado warning is expiring here very soon. Even though it's still in effect, I don't see any more rotation with it. I don't expect it to strengthen up in the next couple of minutes. But what we're going to do is we're going to drop off of television coverage. So we're going to drop off of our television coverage. We will continue to stream this on Facebook Live for a few more minutes as we gear up for our afternoon and evening newscast to give you the very latest data, the timing, the threats, all this information will be given to you that shortly. But until then, keep it here with your Weather Authority team, and we will keep you safe. Good work, y'all. Okay,
Yeah,
guys.
that's
So we're going to continue to coverage this storm. I just don't think this is prompting tornado potential at the moment. So we could be on there as long as we can, talking about this, but this is just not prompting tornado warning potential right now.
Yeah, no need
I
at
don't
this
see
time.
anything.
Yeah, but I'll say this though: when that warning first got issued, that storm
It ramped
it
up.
was ramping up quick.
Well, we saw the WeatherBug
Yeah.
network camera. That was a really low cloud base,
Yeah.
scraping the ground.
Yep, ground scrapers. As they
Now
call
the
them.
storm is weakening. Now
It's
we
kinda
got
gusting
additional
out.
storms that are popping up.
See that coverage, and I'm gonna move to Mega Doppler here, Dan,
Yeah.
so that everybody can see this. You notice the storm coverage is not very widespread over Northwest Arkansas right now. I mean, there's a few storms and things like that, but I mean they're going to be in and out pretty quick.
We're
This
getting
first
the
wave.
warning shot off the bow. You can hear the rumbles of thunder. It's got that the sky is sounding mean right now.
Yes, absolutely,
Kind of thing.
absolutely.
Did you just hear that
I-
thunder?
I did. The thunder roars.
So the reason we're doing this is, we can bring up weather. We can bring up weather one. We'll just bring this up full real quick. Give you a quick update on everything. So far as Northwest Arkansas, currently some rain and thunderstorm activity. Yes, we got some lightning. Yes, you'll hear rumbles of thunder. This is not severe warned, nor will it be as of the next few minutes.
No.
We do have the tornado warning that's still in effect for the Clarksville area, but if we look at the rotation, it's just not existent right now. No, and there it goes. It's starting to pick back up again.
It's trying to.
Let's see here. We'll take a look at that rotation on Mega Doppler. Yeah, it's still kind of there.
somewhat there. It just looks kind of they say outflow dominant.
Yeah,
a little
this
bit.
warning is going to drop off real soon.
Yep.
Okay,
yeah,
see you,
that-
Zach.
Yes, sir.
See you guys.
All right, bye.
Yes, sir.
Have a good
Thanks.
one, Zach.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there it is. It's showing up a little bit. If we go back to weather one, there's a little bit of rotation, but if we come back to our shear live, you're gonna see it doesn't really show up. And if we go to the shear tracks, you will see that track showing up. And it's so weak it doesn't even show up on that either.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. It finally loaded.
But I'm going back in time here, Dan, looking at Mega Doppler. There was that rotation there.
Oh,
for
yeah.
a brief moment.
Oh yeah, definitely. Let's go back and we'll show that.
Yep. Right here is where it was really starting to ramp up just to the south.
So just southwest of Paris. And that's when we were looking at that Mount Magazine WeatherBug camera, which, by the way, because it's a time-lapse camera, we can show it.
It's as quickly as it ramped up, it went away. You go a few more scans here, and it just peters out. Again, though, if you're on Interstate 40 right now, you're probably experiencing some pretty strong winds and heavy rain. That is for sure.
There it is. There it
You can see
is.
the time lapse
Yeah,
there.
so here is the base of this thunderstorm. So that's the very base. It doesn't last long because you can't see it because it gets shrouded in cloud cover, but there it is. That is really low.
Very, very low.
And then goodbye visibility.
Yep.
Goodbye visibility. So
And
that
the
was-
tornado warning's been dropped.
It
Yep,
has?
it has officially been dropped.
Perfect.
So there
I
we
did
go.
that a little bit faster.
Nice.
Yeah, I didn't think that needed to be on there that
No.
long.
Me neither.
I really didn't.
But when it happened, we saw the rotation on there. We're like, okay, this thing's really ramping up quick,
Yeah.
and that's why we're gonna have to stay on our toes today, because it just, and this is why, if you're out there living in the River Valley or Northwest Arkansas, you need to stay on your toes today and be weather aware,
Yeah.
because these things can sneak up on you really, really fast. And we've been talking about it over the last few days about the potential for severe weather, and it looks like that will come to fruition today. That's for sure. But there's like nothing behind it.
Yeah, there's nothing
Yeah.
behind it right now, but I know that it's starting to rain in North Springdale. That's, by the way, the WeatherBug camera time lapse. So here is,
Down Arkansas.
and bring this up here. We'll look at Mega Doppler. Go ahead and take them through that. I'm going to set up this time lapse.
Yeah, so we'll just go. We'll start from northwest to southeast. So Benton County may get a little bit loud in some locations around Bentonville, but just doesn't look like a whole lot's going on right now with these thunderstorms, which is expected. These are highly elevated storms right now that are impacting northwest Arkansas. So you may experience some heavy rain, some gusty winds, a little bit of large hail, but nothing too crazy at this current time with this first round in northwest Arkansas. River Valley a little bit more intense with these storms, as we just saw with that tornado warning in Johnson, Logan, and Scott counties. As that storm went through, it was a little bit stronger, but again, not doing much right now. It's weakened quite a bit because those higher parameters are still lagging behind right now. The low-level jet, the favorable wind shear, those things will come in a little bit later on this afternoon into the early evening hours, and that's when we'll see our tornado risk ramp up. But if we take a wide view here, you can see very messy storm modes right now. Just a lot of rain, a little bit of lightning, some large hail, and apparently something going on in central Arkansas, I guess. I don't know what's going on there.
Well, it's a tornado
Yeah.
warning, but
Yeah.
it's way outside of
Yeah.
our weather coverage area.
Exactly.
So for those that are wondering, and we could switch the radar, I just don't want to do that right now, considering we have the other storms that are popping up. But yeah, so
And I wanted to point out one more thing on Mega Doppler here too, Dan.
Oh, yeah.
With that wider view. Just
Sorry.
one more thing. Oh, no, you're all good.
oh, Kimberly Ray said to tell you hello, Dan. Hi, Diana, and thank you. Hi, Kimberly. It's going to be a
That's
busy
amazing.
first day back, isn't it?
Yeah. Right back to school, right back to work, everything. Just getting busy today, 2023.
Yep.
Starting with a bang, as they say.
I think I said January 3rd. I don't know if I did or if I accidentally said that. I don't know. But anyways, January 2nd.
Early January.
Yeah.
Tomato.
Yeah.
But this is the only thing I wanted to point out, Dan, with this water view here, and then we can move on.
Yeah.
Nothing going on behind this first round of storms, and it's going to have all this time to get going again to our west. And I'm going to be interested to see if we get a little bit more sunshine once this first round of rain gets out of here, and kind of helps that instability return a little bit more, because this is definitely sapping instability right now.
What are those cells that are in LaFleur County? Where do those come from?
Let's see. Kind of on
Those are isolated.
isolated on the backside. We'll have to watch these very closely. For northwest Arkansas, though, I mean, there's just not a whole lot of activity going on around the Fayetteville area. I mean, you got some lightning, you've got some, thunderstorms going on, but nothing severe, which is what we expected with this first round. And we'll see. We'll keep looking out the window, as I say with those meso analysis, and see what impact these thunderstorms had on instability, and that will ultimately determine what our tornado risk is going to be as we move throughout the late afternoon, early evening when that shear kicks in.
We have a great question from Kate. This is a question that's been asked quite frequently. What counties are in the River Valley? Is there actually a definitive, set of counties that are in the River Valley? And so there's really actually no definitive,
Cutoff.
this is a cutoff, but I consider it the Bobby Hopper Tunnel. So Kate, let me show you exactly what I consider the River Valley counties. So these counties right here are northwest Arkansas. You've got these 6 counties right here. These are northwest Arkansas: Benton, Carroll, Boone, Washington, Madison, Newton. These 6 are northwest Arkansas. This is the higher terrain of northwest Arkansas, where you have the greater basically terrain, the rough and rugged terrain of the Ozarks and the Boston Mountains. When you get south of the Bobby Hopper Tunnel, Crawford County. I consider Crawford County River Valley, as well as Sequoia, Franklin, Johnson, Logan, Scott, and LaFleur. These counties are the River Valley. So you've got 6 that are northwest Arkansas. Then you've got these counties, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 counties in the River Valley. And you got northeast Oklahoma, which I consider basically these 2. Delaware and Adair, and southwest Missouri. So second round's coming in about 3 hours, it looks like. Yep. So first round, second round. Second round's coming a little later. I would show you future track radar, but it's just not handling everything properly.
It wasn't at all. You just got to throw that out the door right now. I mean, at this point, it's really all about looking out the window.
So here you go. Clearing out. Additional storms popping up. around 8, 9 o'clock. So that's kind of what we're looking at. All right, guys, we're going to shut this down. You got rain. Yes, you got storms, but we got to get ready for this second round. We still have a few more things that we have to do.
Yeah.
So we will we'll jump off of here, and we'll be back in case another warning gets issued.
Stay safe.
New mesoscale discussion just coming out again. And HRRR isn't great, Josh. In fact, it's probably worse than anything else. We'll look at the latest one. Of course, it updates every hour. So here's the HRRR that clears out, and then there's the additional storms that develop.
Supercell factory.
I don't know. This looks like multi-cell garbage, but we know it's not going to be.
Yeah.
It's too tough when you have all this basically lift. There's so much energy that's coming in. It's going to form storms everywhere. So all you can do is kind of look at the trends right there. 6 o'clock, pretty impressive supercells. Those are in Northeast Oklahoma. But then because of the cloud cover and the rain that we were supposed to have a lot of, and we are getting some, that kind of limits the storm potential as they come in. We're going to watch it. We'll just keep you updated. Look at that pea-sized hail in Bella Vista.
Hey.
So that shows you right there that even though these storms aren't necessarily as strong as they're going to be, they still have that potential.
Still packing a little bit of a punch.
Yeah, look, there is a little bit of an isolated cell right there.
Over there.
Just one tiny little cell. All right, guys, we'll catch you later. I'm gonna run and we'll be back.